utilized that Lauren mentioned utilizing the Boards app. So if you do not have the Boards app on your phone and then populated with our Team Extreme information, please get with your upline because we want everyone use it. It makes a world of difference and it's so easy. So I want to just encourage you guys. Thank you, Lauren, for sharing with us today, but just encourage you guys to literally take notes from this research, because I know personally I'm learning a lot. And as I'm going through learning new things, every time I pick it up, I learn a little bit more on our research. It just gives me great ammunition when sharing and talking to people. And today, Lauren, you'll have a little bit more to share with your friend tonight, because we're going to talk about cognitive function. So for tonight, we're talking about, or for today, we're going to talk about cognitive function and then metabolic health. And so we kind of touched a bit a couple of weeks ago on metabolic health, but we're going to go into a little bit deeper today. So let me show you where everything is housed. We have our Team Extreme website. I'm going to get back here a ways, get all the way back to where you can see me kind of get into where you go. So much is on Boards that we share, but our training predominantly is just going to be on our website. And so if you're looking for some information that you learned from some of the training, you would come to our, actually, let me get here. It's https teamextreme.dropmark.com. And then you scroll down to the training section, and where we house all of our trainings. And right now we're on our research summary. And the first two visuals here are the amazing research summary that our company has put together. I literally have mine with all kinds of notes written on it, and I would encourage you guys to do the same. And then you're going to see a break with a recording. This is each of our trainings. Behind it's going to come with the different videos that we shared with you all on our coaching chat. And we're going to scroll down here to today. We haven't dropped in the recording from today yet, but we will shortly. And we're going to start off by talking about the metabolic health. And to be honest with you guys, I really hadn't heard or thought about or even talked about metabolic health with people. And so there are 5 key components of metabolic health. So it's blood pressure, blood sugar, abdominal fat, cholesterol, and triglycerides. That's kind of what makes up these 5 key factors when we're talking about metabolic health. And, you know, I think utilizing that terminology, knowing what that term metabolic health represents, when you think about the fact that Juice Plus can impact all of that, that's pretty substantial. And I think making that statement that our research shows that Juice Plus has a significant, that's what I read when reading through. I literally printed off all of these studies. And as I read through them, I was circling on numerous occasions where it said significant impact, significant impact. So when I'm talking to someone, I can talk about our metabolic health is significantly impacted by Juice Plus. And when I think about the blood sugar, blood pressure, how many customers have I heard them telling me an impact Juice Plus has had on their blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides? So we need to heighten people's awareness, our customers and our prospects, the impact that Juice Plus can have. It supports the ability to use insulin effectively. It reduces abdominal fat. Who didn't want that? Increases lean body mass. I love that. Helps maintain total cholesterol, helps maintain blood pressure levels. Those are the things that have been proven by our research, and we want to be able to rattle that off pretty quickly. And I'm going to encourage you guys, you know what? print these out, scan them, highlight the studies, and different things. As you read these studies, it's going to trigger some thoughts in your mind and little key phrases that you're going to want to use to share with people. And as I read through these studies, this first one, the Journal of Pediatrics from Nemours Children's Clinic, that one really stuck out to me. And so what I did was I kind of went in and wrote down my notes after looking at, actually, I'm sorry, it was the Journal of Nutrition and Science. This one was the one that really stuck out to me, and I'm going to use it when talking to people. We have an obesity epidemic in our country today. I mean, when you think about it, if you go anywhere and just kind of do some people watching, it's going to shock you. It'll really shock you when you really are looking at it through this lens. And the exciting thing is we have an answer to help people. Not only are we just sharing Juice Plus with them, but we're also locking arms with them. We have the privilege of learning so much stuff about our health than the average person. And so what we want to do, and I remember in the beginning when I started sharing Juice Plus with people, and I remember one time specifically saying to my husband, I don't get it. What is it? Why are these people not getting on Juice Plus? And I remember my husband saying something very specific to me. He said, Elaine, your job is to share and pay forward the information you've just been given. Don't worry about who gets on Juice Plus and who doesn't. If your focus is on helping people and educating them with the information you've been given, let God do the rest. He'll bring the customers. You just focus on sharing the information with people. And when I got that piece of information, that I shifted my focus, is if my focus is to really help people and talk to as many people as I can and tell them what I've been learning, by default, I'm going to get customers. And that's exactly what happened. So if you're discouraged, why in the world do people not see it? Just focus on helping them and sharing what you're learning on these calls. So when it comes to Nemours Children's Hospital study, it was done on the effects of childhood obesity. And what it showed, it reduced insulin resistance. But here I kept reading through, and it wasn't until I watched one of the videos that it really hit me. It kept talking about increasing beta carotene and polyphenols. Look at that, increased beta carotene by 300%, which I thought, wow, that's a lot. But I just kind of stopped and thought, well, that's what Juice Plus does. It increases those phytonutrients in our body. But here's what I didn't realize. Why were they focused on beta carotene? Is because that's what triggers that reduction in the insulin resistance. So when we talk about, yes, Juice Plus increases this phytonutrient or that one, what we don't think about many times, and this is my big aha moment, is those increased levels in those phytonutrients. Those phytonutrients are fighting for something. And here we see that beta carotene is fighting to keep that insulin resistance down. I thought that was quite fascinating and something that's encouraging and a little tidbit to share when you're talking with people. Then it also talked about reduced transport molecules. I didn't know what in the world that meant, but I do know when those reduced transport molecules, it equates to reducing body fat. I can wrap my head around that. And so to think that it did this, it had an impact on childhood obesity is huge, because we know if it's having that impact on our kids, it's going to have that impact on adults as well. And so I think having that Journal of Nutrition Science, knowing, oh, here's another key fact that I didn't know, is that this study was being funded by Nemours, not Juice Plus. Most of the time, Juice Plus has to provide and pay. We don't get, once we agree to it, we let go. We don't have control of what happens with a study, but this study was funded by the actual researchers this time, which is huge and doesn't happen that often. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, we're going to look at this video on nutrition and obesity, which really talks about metabolic health. I think you send your customers one of these just kind of key factors, key points, but definitely this video.
I'm going to share with you results of another randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled Choose Plus clinical study conducted at Nemours Children's Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida. This trial, funded entirely by the clinic, resulted in 2 academic publications, one in the Journal of Pediatrics and the other in the Journal of Nutritional Science. The researchers wanted to examine the effects of taking Choose Plus orchard and garden plants on 4 key measurements associated with childhood obesity. First, insulin resistance, since obese people show a higher insulin resistance than lean people. Second, serum beta-carotene, since beta-carotene is believed to be deeply involved in insulin metabolism. Third, transport molecules for fatty acids, since lowering the amount of these molecules is associated with reduced body fat. And fourth, abdominal fat mass, a tangible measure of fat storage and obesity. They tested 30 boys ages 6 to 10. 9 of the 30 boys were lean, 21 were overweight. All 30 received nutrition counseling from a registered dietitian. 15 boys in the test group received 2 capsules a day of Choose Plus. The other 15 boys received 2 capsules a day of placebo. The duration of the test was 6 months. So what did the researchers find after 6 months of Choose Plus supplementation? They found a decrease in insulin resistance among the overweight boys in the Choose Plus group compared to the placebo group. They measured a 300% increase in beta-carotene concentrations in the Choose Plus group compared to no significant change in the placebo group. They identified a clear relationship between beta-carotene levels and insulin resistance, that the higher the beta-carotene levels, the lower the insulin resistance. They discovered significantly lower triglycerides and lower fatty acid transport molecules among the overweight boys. And finally, they measured a decrease in abdominal fat mass among the Choose Plus group and an increase in abdominal fat mass among the placebo group. These results demonstrate that taking Choose Plus fruit and vegetable capsules in combination with nutritional education can help in the fight against childhood obesity.
All right, I think that to me is a great video, especially if you're dealing with someone maybe who has insulin resistance, which is a precursor. Let me go back here. Sorry, I can't talk and move at the same time. If you're talking to somebody who maybe has insulin resistance, or we know that that's a precursor to diabetes. So I think that video is an excellent video to share with somebody maybe who's headed in that direction and be able to see the impact that Choose Plus can have when combating insulin resistance or longer duration of that being diabetes. All right, so that's kind of the metabolic health and some great tools when talking to people in regard to that. So if you have somebody who's talking about blood pressure, blood sugar, abdominal fat, cholesterol, triglycerides, there's a great video to share with them, as well as a little bit of tidbits from some of the research studies. The next area of research that we want to talk about today is cognitive function. As most of you guys know, to date, the first research study was just done in conjunction with our Omega blend. And so we don't have a whole lot of studies. This is a whole new area. I'm pretty sure there's more in the works, but what came through on that first study was pretty remarkable. So cognitive function, a definition of this would be how well our cognitive processes work. Effectively affects everything from everyday functioning to future planning. A randomized, I always have a hard time saying that word, placebo-controlled, double-blind clinical study conducted on healthy young adults found that Choose Plus capsules improve key cognitive processes, working memory, selective attention, processing speed, and executive function. And so there you go, Lauren. Here's just some new talking points. So having those, what I want to do is come back and memorize those 5 areas, working memory, selective attention, probably why we're hearing a lot from some of our customers in regard to focus once they added the omegas, executive function, speed, processing speed. Those are the things that we want to, when talking to people, share the impact that Juice Plus has. We're going to come in, well, what I did, Mitra Ray, here is a video by Dr. Mitra Ray on brain health. And if you guys have not watched it, we're not going to watch it today. It's about a 15-minute video, but I'm going to challenge you guys to really watch it and take notes, which is what I did. And it's going to give you some valuable talking points when you're talking about the omegas, cognitive function. But the exciting thing, though, that I did want to share is she talks about 3 different studies, and 2 of the 3, let's see. Okay, the first 2 were done prior to our omega. So even though adding the omega is going to certainly enhance that brain function, that cognitive function, know that our trio blend has been doing that for years. The omegas, adding the omegas just takes it to a new level. So some of the comments that Mitra Ray that I wrote down as I was listening to her video, she made a really good comment that I thought, okay, here's some great verbiage. I'm going to challenge you guys to learn. I'm going to personally learn. Science shows those with more omega fats circling in their bloodstream have better fluidity of red blood cells, fare better regarding heart and brain health. And for many years, I personally struggled on whether or not to take an omega because I'd heard that, how quickly a typical omega is going to get rancid, as well as it will can be very, very toxic because of the pollutants that are in our oceans. And so I would take an omega for a while, and then I would be like, I don't know, am I causing myself more harm than good? And it was when Juice Plus came out with a vegan omega, and then we don't talk a lot about how our omega is sealed. It's not sealed with heat, which when you put heat to those omega oils, it's going to damage them. And so the 2 things that we want to, when we're talking about the omegas, that we want to really help stand out is from a regular fish omega is the toxicity and the rancicity of most omegas that we would, I personally went back and forth, and Dr. Mitra Ray talks about it in her video that she would never recommend omega until Juice Plus. But yet we know the impact that having those omega fats in our bloodstream, what that's going to do for our heart and brain health is huge. And so the first study she talks about is the impact. The second study she talks about is our polyphenol research. And in that, it talks about polyphenols are the keys to the kingdom of great health. I thought that was a great tagline to share. If we have those key verbiage and taglines to share with people, people won't forget it. It stuck in my brain when she said how valuable the polyphenols. Those are predominantly going to come from our berry blend. And so what they do is they protect your cells from toxicity, enhance brain function, and increase blood flow to the brain. So if you kind of think about the omegas are going to give the oil to our brain and our heart to be able to function smoothly. But then if you think about those polyphenols, which are going to be in all of our Juice Plus, but predominantly that berry blend, that's going to protect. It's protecting from that toxicity, and it enhances the brain function and increases the blood flow to the brain. And I'm going to stop here for a minute on this one. I personally saw it with my own eyes. I remember I guess I'm not that great of a salesperson. It took me 7 years to get my dad on Juice Plus. My mom was my first customer. My dad, it took me 7 years. So if you've got those stubborn family members, don't give up on them, because my dad became a huge advocate and referred so many people to me once he finally got on Juice Plus. But I remember my dad was 6'6", ex-Marine, big guy, had all kinds of heart issues. And I remember sitting in his family room, talking to him, looking at his feet, and they were purple because of lack of circulation and lack of blood flow. And I remember saying, you're going to have your feet amputated because you don't have circulation in those feet, Dad. And he had all kinds of neuropathy. And I remember saying, would you at least take the berry blend and let's see if we can't get some blood flow in those feet of yours. And he went kicking and screaming when I made that comment. I think it scared him. And I guess I was trying to scare him because I knew how bad he needed Juice Plus. So we started taking the berry blend, and within 3 months, I remember going back and seeing him. I looked at him. I said, let me see your feet. Take your socks off. And when I saw his feet, I said, look, they look like normal feet now. I said, you got to tell me you notice a difference. And he smiled and he goes, I do. I see what you're saying. He goes, yeah. He goes, I see a difference. And that was the first step. So if you've got some people who maybe you love and want on Juice Plus and they're resisting, think about what is it that I can make Juice Plus personal to them. Is it with the cognitive function? How many people have I heard when it comes to, oh my goodness, my kids are focusing better, or I'm remembering more? So think about all this information we're sharing in regard to this research. Customize this information for your customers and prospects, because then they know you really care. It's not about just selling Juice Plus. I pray every time I get a new customer and I hit that send button, when I send their order in, I pray that God would give them the results and that they will see the results. We know it's happening inside, but we want them to experience it and see it. And sometimes they're not going to do it unless we identify and acknowledge areas for them to be looking for. And so this part of sharing this research, you're kind of helping them see their own health issues. You know, until they see an issue, they're not going to need Juice Plus. So sometimes we may have to help them unpack the issues. My dad said he was healthy. He was healthy as a horse. He didn't need any Juice Plus. That was his reason for 7 years not getting on Juice Plus. All right. And the third thing she talked about was the third study was the brain function improved with Juice Plus addition with these 3 tests. And there are 3 different tests that she talks about and shows you. One's called the swoop test, I believe is what it was called. And then she had 2 more. And what it did is it checked selective attention, executive function. Oh, I cut off the bottom, and one more area. And I'm going to challenge you guys to watch Mitra Ray's video, because it'll give you a wealth of information. A lot of times I'll send that video to my customers and say, watch, you're going to love this. This is people who I want to get on the Omegas. You're going to love this video. Take the swoop test and tell me how you did. Now, how many people are going to ignore that? They're going to watch it because I'm going to follow back up. Hey, how'd you do on that test? You know, what have I done? I've just got them to watch a really important video that's going to hammer home the value of Juice Plus, because they're going to be looking for that test that I want them to take. So cognitive function, love this Mitra Ray video, utilize it. In the video, I took a screenshot. I'm going to see if I can find a better visual of this. But what she did was she's talking about, you know, when it went back to the fluidity of the omegas in your blood flow, they measure it by this omega-3 index. And so when they started the baseline, so blue is the control group, your placebo group. The orange is if someone just takes the omegas. The green is if someone takes the quad. And then the yellow is if somebody takes double omegas. So, you know, if you got somebody who's dealing with some issues, kind of back to Lauren, thank you for letting us use you as an example. Someone who's had several concussions, I would say you're not the average bear. You're going to need some tender love and care and some extra attention. I'd take double omega. You know, that's where sometimes customers just need us to give them direction. Don't mess up by holding back. Give them I love this one boss who I worked for. His name was Monty Johnson. And I remember I was in my 20s and he'd call me into a big board meeting with all these middle-aged men. And I'm supposed to be telling them about finances. And I'm like, Monty, they're not going to listen to me. I'm 27, you know, they're in their 60s. I remember him saying, Elaine, you got to think about it. The one-eyed giant is king in the land of the blind. So think about that. If you know, I'm here to tell everyone on this call knows more than the majority of the people you're going to be talking about. So don't hold back recommending what they need to do. We know they need Juice Plus. Okay, so after 16 weeks on Juice Plus, so we've got the control group, not much has happened. The people who added only the omegas, look at that, they had a nice bump. But if you're doing all the quad, look, you're higher than just doing the omega when it comes. So what's that telling us is if you take the quad, what you're doing is because of the bioavailability of our Juice Plus, we've just enhanced the omega index, not by taking more Juice Plus, but because we take the complete quad, we've enhanced that bioavailability. So they're getting more bang for their buck. And here we go. If they've doubled the omegas, look at that, the impact that it has. So utilize this, pull this, you can literally drag it to your desktop and use it when you're talking to your customers, or do a screenshot when you're talking to your customers. Utilize these tools, you guys. And then I'm going to, once again, it's 15 minutes longer. We'd watch that meter ray video today. Be sure you watch this before the day's over. And then I want you, as you're watching it, I want you to write a list of 10 people you're going to send this video to. And maybe you send the omega index or one of these little notes that we talked about. But here's the deal. There are 22 of us on this call today. What if we all sent that to 10 people? 220 people would learn about Juice Plus and about our omegas. You think that'll have an impact on our teams? Heck yeah, it will. Most of the time when I'm talking to people and they're like, oh, my business just isn't doing, people don't want Juice Plus, blah, blah, blah. You know what I found out? Over 22 years, it's not that people don't want Juice Plus, it's that we don't talk to enough people. So here's my challenge to you guys. We've got some great information on 2 areas of health, 2 areas that we've researched: metabolic health and cognitive function. Let's utilize what we just learned and connect. Let's give ourselves a goal. Let me, instead of giving you a goal, you guys give me your goal. Based on what you learned today, how many people are you going to connect with this week and share this information with? All right, Gloria, how many? What's your goal?
Well, I have already shared that video because Maura has shown it at events, and I've gotten customers because of that video. And also, anyone who was interested, I sent that video. So it's been a very good tool to get customers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's your goal this week, Gloria?
Well, every week I try to reach out to all my customers, sending them something positive about Juice Plus, or we have something that talks about the common signs that people feel you should feel. So every week I reach out to my customers and send them something positive.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. And how about new people? That's what I'm asking, Gloria. How many new people you gonna reach out to this week?
Oh, at least 5.
At least 5, okay? Who else? Cynthia? What's your goal? How many new people?
I'm gonna go with 5.
5, all right? Sandy Horn?
I'm going with 5.